Hello, my name is Joe Iveson, and I'm the Farm Sustainability Assessment Manager at the Sustainable Agriculture Initiative Platform, otherwise known as SAI Platform. I'm delighted to represent SAI Platform in the GAP Symposium 2025 and would like to thank the Japan GAP Foundation for giving me the opportunity to do so. I will begin today by providing an overview of SAI Platform, who we are as an organization, why we were founded, how we work, before going on to talk about the Farm Sustainability Assessment, the FSA, which is SAI Platform's most mature and globally adopted industry solution. SAI Platform is a membership organization of companies in the food and drink industry, all working collaboratively to drive the transition to a more resilient and more regenerative global agricultural value chain. In 2002, our founding member companies, Danone, Nestle, and Unilever, had set quite lofty sustainability targets in relation to the Millennium Development Goals. However, all three companies realized quite quickly that actually these challenges that our goals pertain to, they're so complex, they don't just affect our business operations. No, they transcend the business operations, indeed, of companies operating across the whole global agri-food value chain. And so, due to the complexities of these issues and the challenges, these three competitors got together to create SAI Platform as a pre-competitive space where our members come together to share knowledge, create solutions, and promote sustainable agriculture. That was 2002. So if we fast forward now almost 25 years, those three members have grown to not too far off 200 members from right across the world, encompassing farmer co-ops, processors, traders, brands, and retailers. And with that, our vision is a sustainable and resilient agricultural system that regenerates the Earth's resources, elevates farmers' livelihoods, and drives food security. And we do this by harnessing collaborative power and expertise of the agri-food value chain to accelerate the efficient and widespread adoption of sustainable agricultural practices and have a positive impact across farming systems. These are our members on the screen here. Many, of course, will be familiar to you. In terms of how we work as an organization, our strategy is built around these three pillars that you see on the screen: gateway to expertise, collaborative action, and industry solutions. So our high-level 5-year strategy applies a top-down and bottom-up approach where each pillar enables the next and ensures a strong, vertically aligned and executable strategy that delivers towards our overarching organizational goals, vision, and purpose. So over on the left-hand side, in Gateway to Expertise, we engage, educate, and enable members throughout their sustainability journey to drive collaborative action and provide actionable insights. These allow us to create industry standards and solutions to accelerate the harmonization and adoption of industry processes, solutions, and regenerative practices. And by working together collectively across each pillar, we endeavor to expand our global footprint and enhance our data collection tools to measure our collective impact to drive continuous improvement and develop the next generation of sourcing experts. So in terms of our focus areas, SAI Platform has different working groups in the shape of the crops, dairy, and beef that cater to different members' needs. These are groups in which topical conversations are had and new ideas and concepts are continuously being formulated. Indeed, our industry solutions on the right-hand side of this Venn diagram are fully fledged sustainability programs, which were actually born out of these working groups. We have the European Roundtable on Beef Sustainability, which is focused on beef. We have the Sustainable Dairy Partnership, or SDP, which is focused on dairy. We have the FSA, the Farm Sustainability Assessment, which is focused on crops. And we have our newest industry solution, the Regenerating Together program, which is relevant to all terrestrial production systems. For the remainder of my slot today, I'm going to zoom in on the FSA and highlight some of the main successes and key learnings along the way. So before beginning, I'd like to cast your minds back 12 years or so ago and tell you a story about how the FSA was founded. So if we cast our minds back to 2013, SAI Platform's members at that time, they were already making quite significant strides in terms of their commitments towards sustainable sourcing. Many of the big members had developed their own sustainable sourcing principles and practices. This was all well and good. However, it led to a problem that many of you might be familiar with, which is ultimately this abundance of sustainability codes, practices, and principles created a large administrative burden as farmers and companies working with farmers were basically being asked to complete multiple different sustainability questionnaires, many of these overlapping. And this led to questions for our members, such as what does best practice actually look like? And how can we reduce the administrative burden on farmers? So some of SAI Platform's members got together and channeled that collaborative spirit that SAI Platform is really quite widely known for today, actually. And channeling that spirit, they got together to create a single industry-wide definition of sustainable agriculture that can be applied in any country for any crop and across any farm typology. And this was how the FSA was created, and its purpose is to drive relevant and demonstrable continuous improvement of on-farm social, environmental, and business performance through supply chain collaboration and fostering a common understanding of sustainable agriculture. So in its very simplest sense, the FSA is a set of 109 yes or no questions centered around 11 different sustainability topics, covering the traditional 3 pillars of sustainability: social, the economic, and the environmental. Now, something worth pointing out is that the FSA, being universally applicable, it can be perceived as both a strength and a weakness. It's a strength in that having one global definition of sustainable agriculture for crops helps to vastly simplify things for supply chain actors. However, this also means that in many cases, the FSA fails to take into consideration the particularities of growing certain crops. This was something that we realized very quickly is what led to the development of the benchmarking program, which has been really quite highly successful in driving the uptake. And I'll speak more about this in a few slides' time. But just to say that the FSA is so much more than just a self-assessment questionnaire. It's about supply chain engagement, fostering relationships, and working together to improve on-farm sustainability. So the 109 questions that I discussed on the last slide are split into essential level, intermediate level, and advanced level questions. Essential level covers basic things such as labor conditions, or the non-use of pesticides covered in different international conventions like the Stockholm or Rotterdam conventions, whereas advanced level questions ask farmers to monitor their greenhouse gas emissions or consider using renewable energy forms. Farmers need to answer yes to an increasing proportion of these questions to move from bronze to silver and then finally to the gold performance level. Claims and volumes can only be made when the FSA has been implemented and third-party verification has being done. So the FSA has 3 different implementation options: using a benchmark scheme, which I'll speak more to in just a moment, implementing the FSA directly through deploying the self-assessment questionnaire, creating a continuous improvement plan, and undergoing a third-party verification. Or the third implementation option is using a hybrid solution. We have 2 of those: the Global Gap FSA add-on or Field to Market's FSA equivalency module. So this slide, which is the FSA implementation cycle, refers to if you were to implement the FSA directly through deploying the self-assessment questionnaire and undergoing third-party verification. So the purpose of the direct route of FSA implementation is to do so by creating a farm management group. This is a group of farms all implementing the FSA together. And first of all, it's necessary to get internal agreement. This is to agree on the purpose and the outcome and the goals behind the FSA implementation. Second of all, in order to undergo third-party verification and to make claims, there has to be a robust system in place. This is what we call the FSA management system. This includes, for example, the volume accounting system, which is necessarily to make FSA claims on volumes. This needs to be set up in step 2. Under step 3, the farm management group must complete something known as the priority screening tool. This is a top-down, high-level assessment of the priority topics for continuous improvement for this particular group of farms. Next, the group of farms deploys the self-assessment questionnaires and self-assess their performance levels. Following this, the farm management group uses a combination of the completed priority screening tool and the self-assessment questionnaires to develop a continuous improvement plan. Next, optionally, the farm management group can use an outcome measurement tool to monitor progress against their continuous improvement plan. And if they want to make third-party claims on volumes that the group is producing, they have to undergo third-party verification. FSA is implemented over 3 yearly cycles, meaning that after an audit has taken place, there are 3 years in which the group of farms should work on implementing the continuous improvement plan before the cycle starts again, in order to continue the validity of the FSA claim and to continue to make FSA performance claims. So all of this to say that the FSA is very much geared towards continuous improvement and providing a tool set to engage groups of farms on this journey to ultimately improve on-farm sustainability practices. So the FSA as a system, it really continues to grow in adoption globally. So there are 171,000 farms that are currently verified globally, and these cover 61 different countries and 189 different crops. And as a global reference for sustainability, the FSA is also known for its benchmarking program. So we benchmarked more than 100 different sustainability schemes and legislations against the FSA. And this approach, which I'm going to touch on in a moment, really helps to distinguish the FSA and has really driven market uptake. So the benchmarking program, the way it works is that it evaluates other sustainability schemes, company schemes, and legislation relative to the FSA, in effect making the FSA a common denominator for sustainability schemes globally. So this approach allows those certified under benchmark schemes to make FSA equivalence claims without any additional verification. So this creates efficiencies, reduces audit fatigue, and provides market access for many companies which now use the FSA as their minimum requirements for sustainable sourcing. And actually, Japan Gap is a really good example of this. So our member Coca-Cola, they use Japan Gap with some of their farmers in Japan, and they wanted a benchmarking against the FSA because at the global level, Coca-Cola uses the FSA as its global reference point for sustainable agriculture. So by benchmarking Japan Gap against the FSA, it allows farmers in Japan to meet Coca-Cola's requirements, all the while using a scheme that is so familiar to them, but importantly, connecting them to the global market through the FSA as a common denominator and a common reference framework. And this example of Japan Gap is just one of dozens, if not hundreds, of examples that we have with sustainability schemes across the world, and how the FSA helps to not only standardize global agricultural value chains, but also simplify things by reducing the audit burden. So as a user of the FSA, we have many different tools and resources that can allow you to maximize the value that you get out of the FSA. So we have an online training course for users, we have a web app, and a dedicated resource center to help the implementation on the ground. Within these resources, you can find practical guidance, templates, and case studies that allow you to learn how the FSA can be applied in different contexts. Now, with that, I would like to thank you all so much for listening. I hope this was interesting and that you really enjoy and get so much out of the rest of 2025's GAP Symposium. If you do have any further questions about the FSA or about SAI Platform, please do reach out at the email address on the screen. Thank you very much.